Okay, so in this video we're going to continue with our bearing bracket that we've been creating. And so far everything you saw me do was create a 2D drawing and create the isometric here that's sitting here on the left. So in this video what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a 3D of it, and then we're going to see how quickly we can make a 2D off of what we have here. And this is really useful when we have a simple part or something of this nature. Alright, so before I get started, I just wanted to ask you guys, if you want to see me do anything else, go ahead and put that in the comments below. Or if you like this video or anything of that nature, or you find interest in the content that I'm creating, go ahead and do me a big favor and hit like on this video. Alright, so let's go ahead and continue with this. I'm going to start by creating a new drawing. And sometimes, depending on how fast your AutoCAD is, it'll load up depending on that. So if it goes too fast, or in case yours may be faster than mine, just go ahead and wait for a second. Let's go ahead and turn the grid off. And I'm going to start with the rectangle. And in this video, I'm going to kind of use a little bit quicker commands. If you want to kind of go through, this is all the stuff that I did in the first video, which is part 1. So I'm going to create a rectangle. I'll go here and type in 144,12. Zoom out a little bit. Let's go ahead and put that circle that has a center diameter. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to track from this midpoint. Come up here. Type in 38, which is the distance. That's off of the height of that. And then the diameter here is 60. And I'm going to go ahead and put the diameter 36 also on the inside of that one. So I'll just use the same circle center diameter. Touch the edge of your circle. You should get the center mark. And then I'll type in 36. Alright, next I'm going to create a line. I'm going to go from this endpoint to the tangency of that side of that circle. Let's do the same thing again on the other side. So a line from this endpoint to this tangency. Alright, the next thing I'm going to do, let's go ahead and create a vertical line from this quadrant. And I have quadrants as one of my running O snaps. Remember, you can easily just select it here, and then it'll be one of your running O snaps. So let's go and draw a line from this quadrant. And you want to make sure that this line is straight, so I'm going to turn the ortho on. And I'll do that again on the other side. So I'll create a line from this quadrant going down. Let's go to use trim. Now remember that in 2023 there are no cutting edges. You have to select them secondly. So right now I'm just going to go ahead and trim. And if you use those cutting edges, it will speed this up a little bit quicker. But you can see right now I have to kind of walk each one of these lines over to where I want it to stop. Alright, let's go to the fillet command. And then let's change our radius. Let's put in 18. And we do have more than one, so I'm going to use the multiple option. Let's go ahead and put those fillets in here. Alright, so I'm not going to fully draw the top view because all I need is a line. Well, I'm sorry, let's start with a rectangle. Let's go ahead and create a rectangle. And its dimensions are going to be 144, 42. I'm going to draw a line from this midpoint going up at a distance of 16. And then I'm going to offset this line in both directions a distance of 54, which is half of our 108 centers. And I will show you the picture of the thing that I'm drawing here in a second to show you where I got all these numbers from. So I'm just going to offset this to each side. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my circles located here. And remember to hit D, enter, and then put in your diameter whenever you use the circle command on the shortcut. So I'm just using C, enter. I'll select the top of this endpoint, D, enter, and then I'll type in 12. And so according to this picture, you can see all the dimensions that I have. I did the 144 by 12. That was my first rectangle. The 38 distance is located from the center of this basically to the bottom of this plate. My 16 is what I drew those lines, and there's my diameter 12. My 108 center, that's what that is locating. And then that rectangle that I made at the top to locate these was just nothing more than creating this base. So you can see that I do have that base there, and then that's just going to give me the exact location of where those circles are. Alright, next. So now I'm ready to do all the 3D stuff, but before I do that, remember that anytime you're creating solids that they have to be a closed polygon. So the way that I'm going to do this extremely fast is that I'm going to use the boundary command. Shortcut for it is just BO. It's going to bring up a dialog box. Select Pick Points. Select in here, here, here. And I wanted to see if it's going to let me do all of these as individuals or is it going to group them as one. Go ahead and hit enter afterwards. And now you can see that when it creates the boundary command, I have these 3 individuals. So I'm going to select those 3. And then I'm also going to select my 2 circles in the middle. And then I'm just going to move these down here. Okay, so these are the lines that are left over. I no longer need them. Let's go ahead and delete those. I'm going to put this in an isometric mode by selecting this icon here. And now I'm going to switch over to 3D drafting. And once again, this is going to be one of those things, depending on how fast or slow your computer will be, it's going to determine that. So I'm just going to click on 3D model. And then I will wait a little bit. And depending on what color you have your screen set to in the background, that stuff, that may change as well. Alright, so mine switched over. I'm going to use the extrude option, which is going to be the command right here at the top. And the shortcut for extrude is going to be EXT as well. So I can go to extrude. I'm going to select. And it seems my computer is running a little slow. And I'm going to select this edge. I'm going in the up direction, 42. Go back to the extrude command. This time I'm going to select these little side edges. And if you can't see them, sometimes you do have to kind of zoom in. Once I select them, go ahead and hit enter. I'm going to aim them up this direction and type in 9. I'll go back to the extrude command, and all I'm doing is hitting the enter button on my keyboard to repeat the last command. Then I'll go ahead and select my 2 circles. Once you hit the enter button after that, give it a direction and type in 60. Now, one thing is super beneficial is make sure that you have your ortho turned on, and that'll make sure that your lines stay straight. Okay, so now that I have these set up, the first thing I want to do is go ahead and subtract out this circle here. You might can't see it because it's in a 2D wireframe, but if I go ahead and switch it to, something like shades of gray, where you'll see the 3D, you can see that it's not hollow in the middle. So if I go and I use the subtract command, remember the first thing you're going to do is select the one that you want to keep, enter, and then you're going to select the basic surface or whatever you want to subtract from it. And once I do that, now you can see that hollowness kind of comes into my shape. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and join all these together. And then when you're talking about 3Ds, it's called union. So I'm going to go to union. Let's go ahead and put a window around all of this. Enter. And now I have my shape. So now you can see when I select it, all of it lights up. Let's go ahead and rotate this standing up. So your gizmo may be turned on to the move gizmo usually by default, but I'm just going to switch it to rotate gizmo. And in order to use your gizmos, make sure you're in anything other than 2D wireframe. So any of these other ones will work. I'll just stick with wireframe just to kind of give you that perspective. Go ahead and select your object. Your gizmo will appear. I'm going to select the red axis and I'm just going to stand this up. So you see it's rotated upward. You can type in 90 just to make sure it won't go any other angles for you. Now I'm going to go ahead and put in my 2 circles here. So I'm just going to select this circle and then this circle. And I'm going to use the move command. So it's just M enter on my keyboard. My base point will be at this endpoint, going to that endpoint. I do not need this anymore up here at the top, so I'm just going to delete it. Use the extrude command. Just going to put a window around that side and one more around this one. Or you can physically go click on those two circles, enter. You can see now that I want those circles, it doesn't matter how long they are as long as they at least is thicker than the base of that. So anything greater than 12 or actually equal to 12 will work. So I'm just pulling down and going right through it. Go back to the subtract command. Select the object I want to keep, enter. Then I'm going to select both of these circles. And now you should see I'm gone. If we go ahead and switch over to our shades of gray, you can see that I do have that shape created. You'll also notice on the view cube here, my front side looks like my front. This is the top. And then if I wanted to see the right side, I can see that. Okay, so the drafting work is now about to begin. So our modeling and stuff, this would be equivalent to just drawing out all of those shapes. Okay, next I'm going to do is switch over to layout 1. I'm going to delete this viewport. I'm going to pull a base in from model space. And then I'll go ahead and just place that where I want it, enter. And then I can do the top view. And since we're doing these rather quickly, I'll go ahead and put the right side view and the isometric. And once I click all of those views in, just go ahead and hit enter. Alright, so now that I have my shapes created, let's go ahead and bring in our title block. So that's just with the insert command. And it has my recent one, since that's the one I pulled in from before. Remember, if you want to go search for wherever you got your title block at, you can always go here. And I'll try to remember to put a link up there to where you can go and create this title block that I'm using. So I'm going to reuse this one. My insertion point, the lower left corner, I wanted 0, 0, so I'm not going to change any of this. I'm just going to simply double click, and you should see that it brings it in. Then I can close this insert command. Next thing I'm going to do, in order to get this to be the size of my title block, I usually just right click on where the layout I'm in, Page Setup Manager. Give it a couple of seconds, a dialog box should appear. Modify. In the drop down, select DWG to PDF. Here I'm going to select ANSI B size 17 by 11. Extents. Center it. This should say at 1 to 1. And go to OK. And close. Okay, now I can see I have the size that I want on my drawing here. Or I have my title block in. Now I can adjust the scale of this one. So I'm just going to select this drop down. And I think we made our last one and our other one like 1 to 20, some of that nature. So I'm going to do the same here. Next, I'm going to select my isometric. I'll select the drop down. And then I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. So I'm going to make this maybe 1 to 30. I'll click the square here and put this up here in the top corner. Now it's a good practice now to turn my ortho off. Go ahead and place that in the top corner. Now I can start moving these shapes around. And then we're going to go ahead and kind of move this one right in that location. Need to move this one up just a little bit so I can put some dimensions underneath. Okay, so now we have all of our views. Go ahead and create it. Now it would be nice to go ahead and put these on some of our standard layers that we have. But if I come to the Home tab and I go underneath the layers, you're going to see that it's going to create its layers for us. So if you like those layers to be different colors, I can come to the layer properties. And what I'm going to do is change both of the hidden layers and make them onto a color of red. So I can see that MD hidden and MD hidden. I can select this one. And I'm just selecting the color palette. It's color number 1. Okay. I'll do the same for the second one. And make that one color number 1 as well. And then I should be able to close this. And you can see that those hidden lines are now the color red. This view here, I'm going to go ahead and change it. So I'm going to select, go to Edit View. I'm going to change it to Visible Lines. And one other thing that I'm going to do, you can see it has these tangent lines on there. Well, I don't want to see those, so I'm going to click on the Edge visibility, and I'm going to turn the tangent edges off. And now you can see that this shape is kind of like the way that we drew it in an isometric. Okay, and just like we did before, let's use the center layer command. And then we're going to put it on the center command, or center layer. Alright, so now that I have my centers, I'm ready to go ahead and do that. Now I don't have to adjust the EXE because I'm working in paper space, and AutoCAD does a good job of doing that. So I'm going to switch to the Annotate tab. I'll go to Center Marks, and I'll go ahead and center mark these objects. Let's go to our center lines, and remember bisecting, so I'll select this hidden line and that one. Do the same on this one. And remember, you can always just hit the enter button to repeat that last command. So if you don't want to keep going up there to the top, it's easier to just keep hitting the hidden button. I'm sorry, the enter button, and it'll keep sending you back and forth to that command. Alright, now let's go ahead and do the dimensioning. So I'm just going to go to D-enter. That's going to bring up my dialog box. Just going to modify the standard. And I'm just going to adjust the text height. So I'll go to text. Put in a height of 0.12. Underneath our primary units, I'm going to set it equal to no decimals. And the only thing I didn't change, is, or like I did before, is I don't have to worry about the fit. Remember, using the layout tab, so it is going to come in as 1. Going to go OK, close. Back in the Annotate, let's go ahead and change our dimensions to come onto the dimension layer. And now let's go ahead and put all of our dimensions on here. So I'm just going to use these linear dimensions first. So from this end point to this one. And here to here. And you can go back and refer to video number 2 in this series, and you will see exactly how I put all the dimensions on. So if that's something that you're more interested in, go back and take a look at that video, and it's nothing more than just doing all of the dimensions and things of that nature. But I just wanted to show you how to do it in when we're working with the 3D. So this kind of concludes everything that I need to show you on this video. And once again, you can put more or all of your dimensions on this one. And you can see how extremely fast it is. If you create the model, the views are nothing to create. And you can see that we missed a couple of hidden lines, especially this one, on our previous drawing. So if I go back and I switch here, you can see there's a hidden line that goes right across there that shows that edge underneath the bottom. So it's extremely quick if you know how to do the modeling. And you can see if you can kind of break the model up into individual pieces, it'll make it that much simpler. Now, once again, if you enjoyed this content, go ahead and hit the like button for me. And if you got any ideas or other things, or if I made some mistakes, or maybe even something that you just want to see me do more of, or, correct me on something, feel free to leave a comment and I will try to get back to you. Thanks again for watching this video. And the next one I will do with this bracket will probably be in the Inventor program. Thank you for watching.